सन्मात्रमद्वयमनामयचिच्छरीरं तत्त्वं पदार्थनिगमामृतबोधरूपं कोऽहं विचारमहसैव च बोधनीयम् आनन्दमात्मरमणं शरणं प्रपद्ये।
ओम नमः परमऋषिभ्यो नमः परमऋषिभ्यः। हरिः ओम। उपासकानां यदुपासनीयम् उपात्तवासं वटशाखिमूले तद्धाम दाक्षिण्यजुषा स्वमूर्त्यां जागर्तु चित्ते मम बोधरूपम्। अद्राक्षम् अक्षीणदयानिधानम् आचार्यम् आद्यं वटमूलभागे मौनेन मन्दस्मितभूषितेन महर्षिलोकस्य तमोनुदन्तं विद्राविताशेषतमोगणेन मुद्राविशेषेण मुहुर्मुनीनां निरस्यमायां दयया विधत्ते देवो महान् तत्त्वमसीति बोधम्। ममाद्यदेवो वटमूलवासी कृपाविशेषात्कृतसन्निधानः ओङ्काररूपाम् उपदिश्य विद्याम् आविद्यगध्वान्तमपाकरोतु। मौनव्याख्या प्रकटितपरब्रह्मतत्त्वं युवानं वर्षिष्ठान्ते वसद् ऋषिगणैः आवृतं ब्रह्मनिष्ठैः आचार्येन्द्रं करकलितचिन्मुद्रम् आनन्दरूपं स्वात्मा रामं मुदितवदनं दक्षिणामूर्तिम् ईडे। अपार सच्चित्सुखवारिराशेः यस्योर्मिमात्रं भुवनं समस्तं गुहाहितं तं रमणं गभीरं चिन्ताविहीनं हृदि चिन्तयामि। देहं मृण्मयवज्जडात्मकम् अहं बुद्धिर्न तस्यास्त्यतो नाहं तत्तदभावसुप्तिसमये सिद्धात्मसद्भावतः कोऽहं भावयुतः कुतो वरधिया दृष्ट्वात्मनिष्ठात्मनां सोऽहं स्फूर्तितया अरुणाचलशिवः पूर्णो विभाति स्वयम्। அடுத்த இந்த ஃபஸ்ட்டு 4 பாட்டி திருப்பியும் சொல்கிறேடா. வையமெல்லாம் எழுந்திடும் இவ்வெல்லாமும் எதுவேயாகும் அதுதானே உளபொருளாம் சத்தியமாம் அத்ஸ்வரூபம் அகத்தில் வைப்பாம். iṇakkattiṇāl sārbahalac sārbahalac cittaத்தின் sārbu sidaiyumē cittaccār peṭṟār ralaiviladi jīvaṉ mutti avariṇakkam சாதுரவு சாரவுளம் சாரதெளிவி அத்தால் ஏது பரமாம் பதமிங்கெய்துமோ ஓதுமது போதகனால் உட்பொருளால் புண்ணியத்தால் பின்னுமொரு சாதகத்தால் சாரவுணாதான் சகவாசம் நன்னினால் ஏது காமின் நியமம் எல்லாமும் மேதக்க தன் தன் தான் வீசவே விசிறி கொண்டென்ன காரியனீ கூறு தாபம் தன் சந்திரனால் பாபம் தான் கங்கையாற் பாருமே முதல் இம்மூன்றுமேகும் இணையில்லா சாதுக்கள் தம்மா தர்சனத்தார்த்தான். So yesterday we saw the first verse, that is actually the Mangala shloka in the Ulladu Narpadu Anubandham. And this verse has its original in Yoga Vasishtam. Yesterday we spoke about this. Yasmin sarvam, yasya sarvam, yatas sarvam, yasmaidam, yena sarvam, yadhi sarvam, tat satyam samupasmahe. This is the verse. And Lakshmana Sharma translated that also, but the translation is little more elaborate and beautiful, in the sense the words are selected with great vigilance. Tat sat param dhimahi, that is the beginning. Tat sat param dhimahi. So the Ulladu Narpadu, Bhagavan has revealed the nature of the Ulladu, the self. That which is the support, the soul, the source, the purpose and the power of all this world, the reality behind all this appearance, that indeed exists. Let that, the truth, abide in our heart. This is the beginning of Anubandham. Yesterday we said that Lakshmana Sharma has translated it as Satyam Gupta Dhanam, the hidden treasure. And it was later clarified that there is another meaning for Ahatil Vaipam. The verbal meaning is we will keep that in our heart, constantly meditate on that self in our heart. And vaipu also means deposit, treasure. So ahathil vaipu am. So it is kept in the heart as a treasure. But the original Sanskrit also, it is not there. Sarvam tat satyam samupasmahe. Only we are meditating on that satyam. Only that is there. So this is the first verse. And the implication of this verse, we already said, life means so many experiences. And all that experience happen in the mind. And the mind arises in the heart, remains in the heart, and merges back into the heart. So every experience is happening only in the mind, in the heart. And the heart is meant here by janmadhyasya yataha, as the source from where everything arises, remains and subsides. Chittiramamidellam shammalaye ninpale uttidamai nindre odungidum. Nityamum naan endru idayam naditthiduvayal un per tam idayam endriduvar tam. So the first verse, Bhagavan spoke about the Ulapurul, that which exists, that which never changes, that which is the Satyam, truth. And the next verse, actually this is the first verse, because the first verse was simply a Mangala Venpa. It's not Venpa, it's a Mangala Shloka. Now the first verse in Anubandham is taken from Sankaracharya's Bhaja Gōvindam, which Bhagavan has translated to Tamil. It is certainly the most famous verse in Bhaja Gōvindam, most well-known verse in Bhaja Gōvindam. Bhaja Gōvindam of Sankaracharya itself is a very, very simple work. When we were in Kaladi, a scholar came and there was something like a seminar. And one of the students, a Malayali student, he put forth a question. He said, Sankaracharya wrote so many verses, so many works, but why he didn't write anything in Malayalam? This was the question. But the simple reply is, the Malayalam language itself was not there in his time. That is a simple reply. Direct reply. Malayalam language was not there. The scholar, that scholar said, he has written a work which any Malayali can understand. It is simple like your own language. It looks as if it is written in Malayalam. And that is this Bhaja Gōvindam. This Bhaja Gōvindam is also called by another name. Actually, that is the name. Bhaja Gōvindam is the repeated refrain of the song. It is actually a song. The real name is Mōha Mudgara. Mudgaram means pestle, olakkai. And for what? That pestle will pound and make rice or some other grain. It will make it like dust. Like that, this song will pound your delusion, moha, ignorance. So it is called Mōha Mudgara. In that, the very work is very mellifluous, and the song became so famous when M.S. Subbulakshmi has sung it. Everywhere you can hear. So that Mōha Mudgaram, the most famous verse and very, very instructive verse, spiritually very, very helpful verse, is Satsangatve Nissangatvam, Nissangatve Nirmohatvam, Nirmohatve Nishalatatvam, Nishalatatve jīvaṇ mukti. This is the verse. And this Bhagavan has translated to Tamil. sattiṇakkattiṇāl sārbahaluñ. Sārbahalac cittaத்தின் sārbu sidaiyumē. cittaccār aḥṭṛār. alaiviladi aḥṭṛār jīvaṇ mukti peṭṭṛār avar iṇakkam peḥṭṛā. iṇakkattiṇāl sārbu ahalum. sārbu ahala cittaத்தின் sārbu sidaiyumē. cittaccār aḥṭṛār alaivu adil aḥṭṛār jīvaṇ mukti peṭṭṛār avar iṇakkam peḥṭṛā. This is Bhagavan's instruction, avar iṇakkam peḥṭṛā. That is not there in the original. He is adding one line. Spiritual life, we have all chosen spiritual life. Mostly it is what we call a fantasy. You see some book, meditation, somebody sitting in meditation, you buy that book. There is a lot of bhavana. When you see that book, you can also meditate and reach. Actually, that is very joyful. That bhavana is very joyful. But that bhavana, people think that they can attain that state so easily, so quickly. But actually that bhavana is the seed. You start with that. As they say, if you join some company for some months, there is a period. What do they call it? They also call it grace period. Actually, it is a spiritual term. It is a spiritual terminology. Because in spiritual life also there is a period, a grace period. First, when you are initiated, when you start your spiritual life, especially Bhagavan's when you come to Tiruvannamalai, it happens. Most of the sadhakas, Bhagavan gives them a payasam, a sweet. The moment they come here and sit in Bhagavan's samadhi, something profound stirs. Meditation is so easy, so deep, so silent. You are lifted beyond yourself. And many have told me, one day when a sadhaka came here, she was doing so many sadhanas before. After coming to Bhagavan's Sannidhi and staying there for about 10 days, she said, Swami, now I don't want anything. I have dropped all my sadhanas. Now nothing remains to attain. Many people will say like that. Nothing remains to attain. We will wonder the state which all the sages strived so much. This person comes in 10 days leave and goes back as a Ramana Maharshi. That is wonderful. If it is like that, it's good. I just smiled. And she asked, why are you smiling? No, nothing. After 2 or 3 months, she came like a balloon, all air gone. What happened? That state is not there. This is pictured in Bhagavatam like Krishna gives darshan to gopis. And when they are in that intense joy, he leaves them. Then they, in that pang, that longing, they weep, cry again. So this is the spiritual process. Entire Aksharamanamala is that. Where Bhagavan says, you came, without calling you came, pulled me out, gave me this state, and now leaving me in this, it is like burning fire, leaving me here. You have left me, you have gone. What should I do? How can I regain? So that state, that viraha state, so it comes to every sadhaka. But the problem is, every sadhaka thinks that it comes only to him. So they need a help there. They need help. That is it. You need a person who has walked the path. Who has walked the path. Who knows the path. Who can tell you, don't fear. Bhagavan tells Arunachala, please tell me, don't fear. In Aksharamanamala he says, Arunachala, tell me, do not fear. Anjalendre Arul Arunachala. In Viveka Chudamani, Sankaracharya paints a picture where the disciple goes to the master and tells him, I am afraid this samsara is like a terrible fire, it is roasting me, burning me. Doduyamanam duradrishtavatehi. Storms of misfortune are coming one after the other in life. Bhitam, I am afraid. Prapannam, I am surrendering to you. Paripahi, protect me. I do not have any other refuge. Then that master, that acharya tells him, Ma bhaishta vidvan. You are really an intelligent one. You know, the intelligent person finds out the right master and surrenders. So you have done the right thing. Ma bhaishta, do not fear. Tava nasti apayaha, you do not have any danger. You will not fall. Samsara sindhoho tarane asti upayaha. There is a very, very well laid path through which you can walk and reach the other shore of this samsara samudra. Samsara sindhoh tarane asti upayah. It is not that you are the lonely traveler. Many have walked before you. Yenaiva yataha yatayosya param. Many yatis, many monks, many sadhakas, many devotees, many yogis, they have walked. Tameva margam tava nirdishami. The same path I can show you. Don't fear. So this is the confidence that you get from a master who can handhold you and take you to the other shore. So, the greatest secret in spiritual life, actually, Krishna tells Uddhava in Bhagavatam, it is a secret. What is secret? Satsanga is a secret. Because, as we told yesterday, or day before yesterday, you cannot attain by doing sadhana. And without sadhana, you cannot attain. என்ன சொன்னேன் தானே? என்ன எழுதிருக்கேன்? Doership. That is the conclusion. It is the conclusion. As long as you are doing sadhana, you cannot attain jnanam. Without doing sadhana also, you cannot attain jnanam. Then the sadhana purpose is what? So, the problem with any sadhana is, it keeps the doership alive. That is why in Gita, Krishna says, you surrender to me and do sadhana. Mam ashritya yatanti ye. They have my support. They anchor on me and do sadhana. It is not by my power I am doing. Avan arulale avantal vanangi. Shiva Puranam Manikya Vajakar says, by his grace I am doing sadhana. He is making me do. Avan aadavitar aadadar yaro. Avan paadavital paadadar yaro. Avan urugavaital urugadar yaro. Trinavakarsar Devaram. Very beautiful hymn where he says, even to melt, he has to make you melt. You cannot melt by yourself. There is no technique by you can melt. When he makes you sing, you sing. When he makes you dance, you dance. When he makes you melt, you melt. When you come in contact with this secret, then no more the ego can sprout again. So, the sadhana happens without doership in satsanga. But as long as the doership is very strong, people will think, why should I depend on anybody? I will do sadhana and attain. But after some time, we will understand that only in a higher presence, the ego can keep quiet. Not any self-initiated technique. Very often we repeat the story of T.K. Sundareshwara Iyer, who was a great devotee of Bhagavan. He was called Bhagavan's shadow. You can see he will be walking always behind Bhagavan. While Bhagavan will be walking down the hill, he will be behind Bhagavan. Many photos you will see him. He came in contact with Ramana Maharshi when he was only 9 years old. Bhagavan was in Virupaksha and he was very intimate with Bhagavan. They will go there to simply They know there is a Swami sitting there, and they will go and play in the presence of Swami. Sometimes Swami will also play with them. And later on, TKS says, the Upanishad says, people will look at a jnani as a wonder. Āścaryavat pashyati. Exactly that is what happened with them. These children who used to go to Bhagavan, they never thought that he was a Swami. They used to think that Arunachaleshwara is sitting there. That was their bhava. Because he used to sit still, and he is picturing Bhagavan is also very, very alive, very lively words. Where he says his body used to shine like burnished gold, as if a statue made of gold. He will sit still. So he was associated with Bhagavan very close. He was very close with Bhagavan. For him also, at certain stage, he heard Bhagavan telling others that you should do Atma Vichara Sadhana. So he came to conclusion, I am not doing any sadhana, I am simply moving around Bhagavan, not doing any sadhana. So I will stay back in my home, do sadhana, and attain some higher state, then come. Otherwise I am simply wasting my time coming here. So he started staying. For some days he was trying to do meditation, something. Months after months passed, almost 3 months over. He could no more resist because the mind was in chaos. There was deep longing, there was no meditation, nothing was happening. He rushed back one day to see Bhagavan. Bhagavan was waiting for him. Bhagavan said, Sundaresha, Vah. He said, you come. I was waiting for you. You know, today is the 100th day, century, that you have not come here. Anyhow, you got a lesson. You were thinking that you are not getting benefited by staying here, but now you have come to realize what you will lose by not coming. It's a strange thing. You know, spiritual things, in our tradition also we say, if you do Sandhya Vandhanam, you will not get anything. But if you do not do, you will have Pratyavaya dosha. It is not something, some outer benefit for you which you are doing. Only when any spiritual practice, you will know its value only when you lose it. Because it is not like some exciting cinema or you are seeing or music you are hearing. The experience that comes to you is very, very subtle. It's like a vapor. To recognize its presence, it takes time. So Krishna says in Bhagavatam to Uddhava, if I tell you about the greatness of contact with saints, you need the power of faith to accept it. Hence I tell you that it is the greatest secret, because after so much tapasya, one gets the power of faith. Tapasa shraddha Shraddhaya medha medhaya manisha manishaya mano manasa shanti. The Mahanarayana Upanishad says, with tremendous austerity, the power of Shraddha wakes up. The power of faith, faith to Guru, faith to scripture, faith to things which will uplift you. That will do you hitam, not priyam. That will do you good. So the most powerful sadhana is satsanga. Contact with sat means contact with truth, with self. That is the first satsanga. Bhagavan, many places he says, to have contact with Sat is satsanga. But that contact happens when the Sat appears before you in some form. Outwardly it appears in a form, inwardly you have contact with the Sat. You can see all the reminiscences where devotees come to see Bhagavan. When they see Bhagavan, inwardly there is an awakening, a recognition of the self. So satsanga is a very, very powerful prerequisite to keep you in a higher mood. In bhakti, it is certainly needed. Bhakti, satsanga is one of the most important sadhana in bhakti. After narrating Bhakti Sutra, Narada says, how can we have bhakti? And Bhagavan Narada says, the sure way to get bhakti is to have contact with someone who has bhakti. And their presence you will have, and Manikya Vajagar says, the fragrance of bhakti will be there wafting around. That parimala, that fragrance, that sweet smell will be there. Bhagavata says the bhakta develops a new kind of smelling organ. And that nose can smell Atman. Atmanam anujighrati. The Gopikas, they say, Krishna disappears and they walk around searching for him on the Yamuna, sand of Yamuna. They say, the wind is flowing from the southern side and there is the fragrance of Achyuta in it. Achyuta Gandha. They say Achyuta Gandha is there. Krishna's fragrance is coming. And Ganapati wrote a book on Bhagavan. The name of the book is Ramana Manam. Fragrance of Ramana. The odor, the smell of Ramana. Divine smell of Ramana. Satyamangalam Venkataramanaya also wrote, Tharayalam Manakka. Tannarum Swanubhuti Dharayalam Manakka. That Swanubhuti, the Atmanubhuti is, you can get the fragrance of Atmanubhuti everywhere. So, bhakti you will have when you have contact with a bhakta. Mukyatastu mahat kripaiva. In Narayaniyam Bhattadari says, Guruvayurappan, Krishna in Guruvayur, he says, give me that bhakti which one can have from contact with Mahatmas. Mahad anugama labhya bhakti. Not bhakti that I myself consider I am a bhakta. That is not bhakti. I want bhakti which Mahapurushas will certify. Through them that bhakti has to come. So there you need bhakta sangha. You need contact with saints, contact with sages. So satsanga is very, very important in bhakti. See, Ramakrishna's life, you can see, not that simply devotees are longing for his presence. He will be weeping if he cannot see one of his devotees for some days. He will be asking why he is not coming. My heart is longing to see him. Especially Narendranath Vivekananda used to feel his absence so much. And he will be always longing for that bhakta sangha, satsanga. So satsanga is very, very important in that level. And for jnana yoga also satsanga is important. Because you have to keep yourself in a higher plane. You should not allow the mind to go down to the, as Bhagavan calls it as bhumanam, the earthly smell. It should have always a little bit of that puranamanam. It should be always carrying that fragrance of purnam, reminding it constantly, recollecting that higher state constantly. It is needed. If we are really honest in our spiritual life, we will recognize there is, till you reach a very high state, there is no walking alone. Because you need a little bit of samadhi, a kind of ecstasy, mirth is needed. To keep your mind in that higher state, you need sometimes satsanga alone can work. No japa, no dhyana, nothing. Satsanga alone can work. Sometimes you have that mood of sitting in solitude and do japa or dhyana. That also works. So, jnana yoga, you need satsanga of constantly thinking about the Upanishad, the Vedanta Shastra, this higher teaching. And the highest satsanga in jnana only is maunam. Pandityam nirvidya balyena tishtased balyam cha nirvidya munihi. First, you gather the knowledge. Then only later on the mauna comes in the heart. You have to prepare yourself because this Vedanta Satsanga is maunam. Ekanath Maharaj says in Bhagavata, maunam means what? Vedanta pravachana. Because there is no talking about I, you or he. This talk alone is the problem. Talking becomes polluted. Vacho viglapanam hitat. The words gets polluted when these three persons come. First person, second person, third person. Neither I nor you nor he. Only that Brahma. That Upanishadartha rasam pibantaha. And Sankaracharya says, Dhanyaha. They are blessed. They simply stay in solitude in forest somewhere and they will be drinking the nectar of the Upanishad Artha Rasam, that sweet taste of the Upanishads. So that satsanga is also very, very enriching. That is a great thing. Bhagavan's devotees, sometimes, Kunjuswami once told that Bhagavan will, sometimes there will be katha. Whole night Bhagavan will be speaking stories. Sometimes he will speak about devotees. And tears will flow. And we will all be sitting around Bhagavan. Bhagavan will be narrating. And one day somebody went to Chinnaswamy, the president, and gave complaint. See, these people are making Bhagavan keep awake Bhagavan whole night. Bhagavan is speaking something. Always somebody will be there to light the wick. They will be there. So Chinnaswamy decided, patrolling. Night, he was just coming behind to see what is happening. They cannot see. Kunjaswamy said, we cannot see. But Bhagavan saw. Bhagavan said, Chinna Mamaram, Padacchēdam. He will make them lie, and when he is gone, he will wake them up. And they will be talking. And the beauty of that narration is, Kunjaswamy said, one day Bhagavan will stop. Suddenly he will stop. There will be no storytelling. We will be in joy while he is narrating. But after stopping that story session, there will be such an intense, dense maunam. That maunam also will appear like storytelling. He said it is the dhara, the current which influences, which is neither the words nor the silence. It is that strange divine current which flows in his presence. That is the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad says, Amaunam cha maunam cha hitva brahmanaha. He is beyond amaunam and maunam. That power of self-knowledge is beyond amaunam and maunam. It is neither amaunam nor maunam. It is neither silence nor words. Both can carry that power of maunam in its atma jnana, in its womb. So that kind of satsanga, it is very powerful. That kind of satsanga which can completely change your life, which can completely transform your life. No more can you be same. Of course, the person must be receptive. Kabir says, there is a stone they call Chintamani, the philosopher's stone. And with that Chintamani, you touch an iron piece. The iron piece becomes gold. That is what they say. So, alchemy is the alchemy. But if it is not becoming gold, the contact has not happened. That is the reason. There is an iron piece and there is this Chintamani. They appear to be in contact, but if the iron is not changing as gold, the real contact has not happened. So if the real contact has happened, it has to get transformed. So that is the secret. Real satsanga means it transforms you. In Bhagavata, Narada is initiating Vyasa. He tells him, write a book which the Paramahamsas will enjoy, not the worldly people. You write many books, all worldly people enjoy so many books, bestseller, millions of copies, no use. Let a few sages, all renouncing Paramahamsas, enjoy, write a book like that. Otherwise, worldly talk, you will have so many will be there, and that so much crowd is there, that crowd is made of crows. And very few will be there when you talk the highest thing, they are all hamsas, the swans. So why don't you write such a book that the swans will come to listen? The same analogy Tulasidas took in Ramacharita, where he said, we will have a Manas, Tirtha, and all the crows are welcome. The crows are also invited. Let the crows enter this, they will go out as swans. So this is the power of satsanga. When you come in contact with a true Paramahamsa, sometimes great transformation can happen. T.P. Ramachandraya told a story which Ganeshan told us. Many of you have heard that. Where one person came to Bhagavan and was in great depression, stress. He said, Bhagavan, I have committed great sin. I have killed 4 people. And I escaped from all legal things, police. But my conscience is giving me great trouble. Perhaps the freedom movement or something. So he's saying, I have killed 4 people, I escaped from law, but my conscience is giving me great pain. Is there any way to redeem me, to save me? Bhagavan simply told him, give up the thought that I have done it. The answer looks too simple to such a great, terrible act. As far as Bhagavan is concerned, killing some goat, killing some hen, killing some human being, all same. So we think human beings alone matters. So that is a different thing. We are not going into it. Perhaps we can explain things like that. The person is asking a question, Bhagavan gave an answer. But the result, after some years, T.P. Ramachandraya, no, H.C. Kanna, he went to Himalayas and there he met many monks. I think it is after Bhagavan Samadhi, perhaps. Only after Bhagavan Samadhi these people used to travel. So there he met a great saint. Everyone there told he is a great Mahatma there. So he went there and this Mahatma asked him, where are you coming from? He said, I am coming from Tiruvannamalai. That Swami suddenly jumped and came to him. Are you coming from Ramana Maharshi? He said, yes. he fell prostrate before him and narrated this incident. Otherwise, nobody would have known it. He said, I told this, that doership fell from me. He gave me that state. So this is a very strange incident, very rare incident, where a person has so much faith that he is ready to drop the doership by mere listening to the word of the sage. We will ask how that much faith will come. That much faith can come only by suffering. If you have suffered enough, then you will no more take refuge in your reasoning, intellect, ego, anywhere. You will take absolute refuge in the power residing in you. That is faith. It is ready to surrender to a higher being, to a higher presence, completely. In Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, that Janaka Yajnavalkya conversation, at last Janaka tells Yajnavalkya, I give myself to you. Till then Yajnavalkya was going on teaching. When Janaka said, here I surrender completely, then Yajnavalkya says, Abhayam vai Janaka praptosi. Janaka, you have attained fearlessness. No more fear. So, this satsanga, this contact with sages, sometimes can take a person directly to the truth. It can give jnanam, anubhuti. It can do something so powerful which no self-initiated spiritual practice can do. Bhagavata says so. Na rodhayati mam yogaha, na sankyam dharma yevacha, na swadhyayaha, tapaha, tyagaha, na ishtapurtam, na dakshina, vratani, yajnaha, chandamsi, tirthani, niyamaha, yamaha. All these things are supposed to give you some spiritual benefit. Krishna says, all these things cannot do that much benefit. Yatha avarundhe satsanga. That which is being done by contact with sages. Sometimes it transforms terrible people into great sages. Like Valmiki, many stories, So, that mahima of that satsanga cannot be sufficiently explained. It is very, very powerful sadhana. As a beginning in spiritual life, what does satsanga do? We are leading a worldly life, working, office, many things. How does it has an impact on the person? Satsangatve nisangatva. The first sign of spiritual life is when the person exposes himself to that higher presence, listening to the scriptures. Then something enters into him that in his worldly life no more he is the same. A kind of strange spiritual aloofness descends on him. It is just like Ramakrishna says, if you pour milk into curd, it will get mixed. But if you churn the curd and separate the butter will not get mixed with anything. It will remain untouched. Like that, something gets separated inside. You can experience this. All our spiritual sadhanas, japa, dhyana, shastra, pathana, atma vichara is all needed so that you will understand the power of satsanga. Otherwise you will not understand. Because then only that subtle power develops inside you which can segregate the mind and the heart, which Bhagavan calls as heart. Otherwise you will consider mind as more important. Mind, thinking, thought. Mind is just like the wheels of an aircraft which helps it in the runway. But something from inner engine starts, the wheels are drawn inside, the aircraft takes off. So all our mental things, taking notes, writing, understanding, doing, repeating, mechanical things, all are needed, but it is like running in the runway. And when you really come in contact with a sage, because a sage is not a person, he is Brahman. Brahma Veda Brahmaiva Bhavati. So Satti iṇakkattiṉāl, when you come in contact with jīvaṉ muktas, that is how Kanakama has written, liberated beings, sārbu ahalum, attachment falls off. Sārbahalac cittaತ್ತಿṉ sārbu sidaiyumē. And not only that, nissangatve nirmohatvam, ignorance also slowly gets removed. Avaranam. Patanjali in Yoga Sutra says, prakāśāvaraṇakṣaya. The avarana, the cloud that covers the inner light, is removed. Nirmohatve, and when the jiva bhava is taken away, nishalatattvam, the still principle is recognized. It is not that the mind becomes simple, still. That also happens. But the mind, when it becomes more and more quiet, it comes in contact with something which is eternally still. The Upanishad says, it moves not. Tadejati, tannaijati. The mind moves, it flutters. And it recognizes a still substratum. So it learns that method. At least it gets an intimation that there is a chamber within where I can withdraw, where there is no creation at all, where there is no jiva bhava, where there is release, nirvana. That varta happens. This word varta, I think even Buddha has used it. He said, sent the monks everywhere. He said, go and give them varta. Varta means message. Vartam sakhe kirtaya tirtha kirtehe. Bhagavata says, my dear friend, go and sing this great message of Bhagavan. He is tirtha kirti. Because when you sing about him, when you speak about him, you become tirtha, you become purified. So this is the power of satsanga. Cittattiṉ sārbu sidaiyumē. It removes the moha, the delusion, the ajnana, the jiva bhava. That is what Bhagavan was constantly doing. Find out who you are. What is this I? citta sārbu aṭṛār. When that mind also absorbs this detachment, and when the ignorance is removed from the mind, alaivu adil aṭṛār. Chalanamatra brahmatil aikyamaanārgal. They, as we have said already, they find the nishala tattva. Then jīvaṉ mutti peṭṛār. Here, while living in the body, they become liberated. Unless you see a jīvaṉ mukta, you cannot have faith that it is possible to be in the body and be free. Logically, it cannot be proved. It is impossible. Only when you see such a being who is carrying the infinite space as his body, Akasha Shariram. Only when you see that, oh, that is possible. And that is possible for everyone. That faith comes. Arvācīnānāmapi. As Sankaracharya says, in that Aham Brahma, that Mahavakya in Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, in that mantra, there is a story where the sage Vamadeva, the great sage Vamadeva, from the womb of his mother, he declares, I am Manu, I am the sun, I am the stars, I am all the planets, I am the world, I am everything, he declares from the womb. Sarvatma Bhava. In that Bhaja, Sankaracharya says, this knowledge comes to anyone if he knows his self. It is not simply for Vamadeva. It is not simply for Ramana Maharshi or Sankaracharya. For anyone who recognizes one's own real nature, he attains this Sarvatma Bhava. So that is for today. Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala Shiva, Arunachala.